Hello, my artist friends. This week we are going to dive into some comic artist looks. We're going to get into, graphic novel styles. What I've done is I've kind of dissected popular styles of comic books and put them into longer prompts. I'm not referencing actual artist names, but if you can figure out what artist is kind of associated with this and see if that's who I was thinking of, put it down in the comments. I love to see if you, and I'll let you know if you get it right. All right, so let's get into this. Let's look at some comic artist, how do I want to say that? Comic art styles? Yeah, all right. I don't want you to think comedian, but that's why it's messy. Anyway, let's get into it. Oh, God, you guys, you're not going light. I missed 1 week, and you. All right, let's get into this. Here is our first prompt style, and you're gonna see this is longer stuff. So inspired in the style, noir style, high contrast visuals, minimalist color. So I mean, right off the bat, look at this. There's a beautiful black, white, and red. Really gives the vibe of the Japanese flag. So I think we know where we're going there. Here we go, another one. Look at the verticals in this. Everything is vertical, and then the man is very linear and vertical also. And those verticals are played off by these diagonals. This is like really cool composition there. Definitely gives a vibe of like mid-century modern. Here we go with, at first it's a simple silhouette, but then you get these mid-tone highlights, I would call them, that give a little bit more detail on the back, on the side, on the arm, and we can see the folds. Again, another mid-century modern inspired image. And look at this. This is graphic, bold, great use of color. We have, it's minimalist color. We got blue and complemented by our oranges and yellows, probably more yellows there. But you get this nice twilight feel on beautiful architecture. Nice. Here's kind of a gritty burger, very graphical in its nature, almost half-toned on the shading, but then more of a gritty style street art for the background. Very interesting. I love that it's on the thirds too. Here we go. This one's pretty straightforward, black and white of a forest, and we get some God rays, some lighting effects, and pretty straightforward. And depth is as we've talked about before, that's determined by perspective. Oh, gosh. What is the word I'm looking for? Oh, my gosh. Atmospheric perspective. As things go further away, they get to the lighter blue. We saw a motorcycle there. And then, I love this skull. This is really cool. This is abstract. The skull is really coming out of these brush strokes. I'm not crazy about the color choice. It's very 80s with that teal and pink look. But definitely gives a retro style. And then the woman here, hey, you can't have noir without the blinds, the shadows of the blinds. That's kind of the aesthetic for, that's the calling card for noir inspired. But very cool there. Hair's a little rough. I would probably go over that again. This is pretty cool. This tree, a little sapling. And it's got some I feel like that thing's about to get taken up into a spaceship. E.T. is here and he's like, you know what? Forget practicing on humans. We're going to take this tree. This tree is ours. Wasn't E.T. a biologist? Botanist? Anyway, all right. There you go. That's our first one. Tell me if you know who that was inspired by. All right, here we go. This one is, I'm reading it off. Dynamic comic art style characterized by exaggerated, powerful character anatomy and bold inking. Features dramatic compositions, iconic superhero designs, and intricate futuristic technology visuals. So this one goes back a little bit, but it's such a distinctive style. check out that motor. Oh God, look at that design. That looks like concept work. Very cool color palette, oranges and blues. Just everyone uses it. And there's a reason for it. Hey, here's kind of some pseudo Flash type guy. Very cool. Is it Flash? I'm trying to think. Now I'm maybe Electrode. Wasn't that the guy that fought Spider-Man? Yeah, I don't know. And here's a tree. I love this. Very monotoned, but you have that monotone with super. I just noticed some. You guys are gonna see it. But anyway, super monotone with lighting effects over it. Actually, I noticed it's in all of. You guys are gonna figure this one out easy. But yeah, it's you can have a really basic color palette, almost monochromatic, and then put a lighting effect over it, and it just does wonders for it. This is another beautiful rendering of there's a mouth in that tree. It's got like teeth. Beautiful rendering of a forest, futuristic forest, obviously some kind of environment for a village or something. Here's a cheese. I love this cheese. This is absolutely fantastic. Great color palette too. I like the pinks and everything. It's not pinks and can always get weird when you get to food, but that worked out well. Here's our octopus. Very, very much energized by the power of the lines coming out, orienting in the middle, and just giving us really an explosive feel to this. And look at this. This is just awesome. The skull with the internal lighting. These lighting effects are just phenomenal with this one, and really sets it off. And it's that's like the final 10%. It's like you can illustrate something really cool and get it right in the style that you want, and then you put some lighting effects on it, and it's like, boom, off to the races. Anyway, all right, that was number 2. All right, and here we are with number 3. This is vibrant comic art style characterized by surreal, intricate landscapes and futuristic designs. Features fluid, detailed work and rich, diverse color palette, notable for ethereal, dreamlike visual storytelling and imaginative character creations. And this one is kind of wild. This is, the woman was cool. This is interesting because you have these cloud shapes that are repetitive within the house shape, which makes the house feel very kind of, you have this storybook house that's kind of whirly and twirly. Look at that. This is cool. This is, it's very trippy, I think is what they used to call it. Flowy and you have your color palette really being intricate with each other. And motorcycle, look at the detail in that. Again, these are pretty simple color palettes, but you're getting this really realistic look for it. That is very interesting to me, is like using the littlest amount of color to get and still be able to maintain photorealism in a way. And here's a complicated octopus, very cool, very otherworldly, and the tree. I thought this one was interesting. Normally when I get the tree render from MidJourney, I get just the tree. This one gave me a nice environment. It gave me the water, it gave me the sunset, and gave me a little bit more of a narrative. That's interesting too. Going through these, it's very hard to extract the narrative from comic art styles. Narrative and story are very much associated with artists and their styles, so it's kind of tricky. This is beautiful. Not sure where I would use it, but I have another one. This stuff is just fantastic. So detailed, so current. It's just a fantastic look, and I'm just drawn into like how the reflection was rendered in those sunglasses. Another cool one. I would definitely mark this as like 80s aesthetic too. And so linear. So like the whole thing just feels like it's dripping. Like everything is coming down. Very cool. But yeah, give that a chance in your prompt and see what you get. All right. In the style of detailed, realistic comic art, style featuring fine line work, expressive character faces, emphasizes nuanced emotional expressions and subtle body language in black and white visuals, showcasing intricate textural details and a clear and clean aesthetic. So here we go. We saw the woman while I was reading, and here's a burger. Very clean, very straightforward, black and white frame. I like this one. This one's interesting because you have this going into the darkness of the forest, but as you can see off the top of the trees that are set back, you have the descending shadow. And I was like, wow, MidJourney, dang, you figured that out. Here's a house. Very simple. I mean, this is just kind of taking line work and basic black and white comic rendering that is in a realistic perspective. It's very straightforward. I mean, come on. Look at how cool that is. A skull made up of a skull. I mean, I'm not even prompting for that. And MidJourney's like, yeah, maybe I need to surprise you. But very cool. I don't even know. All right, here's a guy. Here's that subtle emotion that I think we put in the prompt with it, subtle body language. It's also interesting. It's definitely using like kind of a scribble technique, which was a great rendering for the beard. Here we go with an octopus, more realistic, almost charcoalish, and interesting. He's got nostrils here. Very cool, but great. I love black and white. You guys know I love charcoal, so that's very cool. This one's cool. I love when it puts the rider on the motorcycle, and this is obviously high action, and looks like it's rendered. It's amazing because MidJourney couldn't do motorcycles too long ago. Like, they didn't understand like the hands need to be on the handlebars and where the wheel needed to be on what side of the shocks. Another cool one here with the tree. It's characterized. Maybe it's an ent. I don't know. That could be kind of this weird black and whitey comic of an ent. All right. Let me know who you think that was. All right. Photorealistic comic in the style marked by its lifelike portrayal of characters and dramatic painted visuals. Utilizes a rich, vibrant color palette and masterful light and shadow effects, capturing superheroes in iconic, dynamic poses that convey power and emotion. As you saw the woman, we used her on the thumbnail. Very cool house here. Again, we're getting that beautifully rendered night sky, like sunset sky. There's some rich color. This is what I would call rich. Not overly saturated, but just right. And look at the energy that's put into this burger. Come on. Flame broiled Burger King. Want to talk to me? Want to sponsor my channel? Boy, they don't. I am not that lucky. Anyway, that burger is pretty cool. Set on fire. Again, look at this. I mean, look at the energy in that, The only problem with it, you got him just peeling out all this smoke and fire, but his kickstand's down. What the heck, MidJourney? What the heck? Yeah, we can fix that real quick. You can do some in-painting. Get rid of that, or go old school and clone it. Here we go with the superhero underneath an iconic fall tree. It was interesting. When I saw this small, I was like, oh, okay, we know who that superhero is. But for some reason, anyway, with that, I'm going to pause it. That superhero there, his proportions were more teenager proportions rather than grown adult. So I thought that was interesting. That gave a little bit of more storytelling to it. But look at this skull. Oh, look at this skull. I mean, that is ridiculous. Coming out of the fire, hey, Terminator-esque type stuff. I definitely got Hulk vibes from this. That stance, like, I'm ready. But very cool, and it's got that Dutch tilt, gives a whole nother feel to the composition. And mostly monochromatic. Here we go. We've got, not a superhero, which is okay, but we've got like average Joe, doing something amazing. He's not ordering coffee. He's out there, diving out of some kind of explosion. Oh, look at that beastly kraken. Very cool how the foreshortening, like how big these tentacles are. I'm going to say that carefully. Tentacles are that are close to the camera plane, while the head is further away. It's smaller, and definitely gives a nice just scale and proportion feel to it. Very realistic. Dynamic compositions, realistic character anatomy, vibrant, detailed visuals, and with a focus on expressive faces and dramatic action sequences. So look at this. I mean, this one right here, I would push into a cover art style. Very cool, bit of storytelling. This one's neat, very graphical. It's very expressive with the brushstrokes and everything. But what I really like is the energy that you get on the edge of this lettuce and stuff. Like, it just like whips up. Like, that gives energy. Like, it's a static thing, but it gives energy. Okay, here's tree. Trees can be difficult because they can go in wacky ways. And I'm drawing a lot of trees, and, figuring out how to compose them on inside a frame is interesting. And then you throw in the light effect of the moon, and that's what I said. The light effects, they make all the difference. Here's a woman, and very gestural, very sketchy. This is kind of a colored pencil type sketch. You can see all the synthetic pencil work that goes at high. Getting so confused with the world these days. Anyway, very cool. This one, I love it. So this is a forest. What I like about this is a very retro color palette. Oranges and greens, and browns. That's 70s stuff right there. Very interesting. I really like that. It's very expressive and it was beautiful. The house, rendered in realistic perspective, but taken just to the level of, this is as far as we need to go. It's still graphical. But then you get into these trees, and they're very expressive. It almost gives you a vignette of accuracy to looseness. And here's a very cool motorcycle. I love how MidJourney's now getting correct with motion blur on the wheels and everything, and it's a radial motion blur. It's not linear. So the skull is interesting. So MidJourney's rendering it out and giving just a partial part of the skull. It's not zooming out. It's not forcing itself to have the whole thing, but it's also not doing it in a haphazard way where we saw earlier versions of MidJourney. It's very accurate. I love this octopus. I love that the webbing in his octopi, whatever the equivalent of your finger web is for an octopus, is ripped and torn. I mean, that makes him look badass. And here is a guy, lighting on this really sells it. Monotone. It also has a lot of narrative into it. We all know, hey, this is the good guy that just got knocked down, and this is the last time it's going to happen. He's going to get up and he's going to kick some butt. Anyway, all right. Let me know who you think that may have been referencing. All right. Thank you for joining me this week. This is kind of a deeper dive. I really dove in to figure out how to describe these different genres inside the comic book. It's something that's kind of gotten to me, because if you just put in comic style. You just get a very specific look. And we know there's just such a huge variety within this genre. I wanted to dig a little deeper. I did a lot of research for this. I used some different tools. I did use ChatGPT to help me polish and shrink down these prompts and make them, because you can really get into like a long prompt. And I really wanted to get to the essence of it, so I tried to leverage those tools to help me there. But there was a lot of research in this one. All right. Do me a favor, like this, buy a t-shirt, subscribe, join us on Discord. Oh, and comment. All right. See you guys next week.